Hello, everyone, and welcome back to DBR on CBR. That is right. It is time once again for Dragon Ball Rewatch. For those of you watching along at home, you can always follow along on Hulu and Crunchyroll. And if you are reading along, you can check out the official translation from Viz Media. Once again, we are your hosts. My name is Alyx.
I'm Sam.
And I'm John. And yeah, we're up to episode 14, Goku's Rival. Now, if you're in Japan, a child watching along, this would air May 28th, 1986. Literally 1 week afterwards. Like, nothing has changed. If you're watching this in the US, you'll be seeing this September 6th, 2001. So we've had like a 5 to 6 year gap. So this was now on TV with a new dubbing group. Obviously, this doesn't affect the dub we're using because we are using the later one. But it is something to keep in mind when we talk about this broadcasting that there was a big gap here. And they are now well into Z. So you will see with some of the edits that we talk about that Z stuff sort of gets foreshadowed more heavily because they know it's going to happen. We're adapting 2 chapters, The High Price of Education, God, mood, and then Arrival Arrives. This episode's pretty simple. Goku goes to train with Roshi, and Roshi is a pervert.
I think this episode's really funny. I don't know why. Like, watching it on my phone on the train, it made me laugh out loud like a couple of times. I think that it's very funny.
This episode is classic odd couple kind of comedy going on, and I do find it really fun.
I mean, I think Roshi, as inappropriate as he is, and he definitely is in this episode, he's more a comedic powerhouse than anything else. And, putting the spotlight on him and getting to see how he lives his daily life, I guess. Yeah.
The 80s aerobics video cracks me up. I love that thing.
All of Roshi's weird lines when he's watching it are so good.
I just love that he doesn't, as far as we see, he isn't doing anything inappropriate, he says very carefully and gingerly. But obviously the way he's experiencing a workout video is maybe not the most
prurient. Would we say it's a little prurient?
Yes, I will point out he does tell when Goku asks about going to the fridge, he does say grab something you like I am.
Yeah,
which we don't see him from the front, so
it's for the best. It's why I always wear shorts. Really. Except when he messes up.
This episode has the weird Roshi lore, man.
Do we think Master Roshi has been celibate his whole life? Because I think he might have been.
I think he has been, because Turtle kind of brings it up that he's been pure all this time and he can't waste it now. That was that argument a couple of episodes ago where Roshi's like, "Oh, can't I have one before death?" And it's like, you're not going to die.
Yeah, you've had the sacred water, but we won't know about that for about 100 episodes. It's a funny episode. Whenever I introduce friends to Dragon Ball that I know aren't going to appreciate kind of the humor or the kind of the more folklorish storytelling of the first 13 episodes, I usually start with episode 14. As I kind of alluded to in last week's episode, this is the last episode. This episode adapts the last chapter in volume 2 of the manga, and the first chapter of volume 3, which I don't have on me in arm's reach. So you'll start to see me showing that off every episode if you're watching this visually. Yeah, it feels like a soft reset. We do get Yamcha and Bulma and their amazing friends on a weird adventure when they encounter Roadrunner Krillin.
Roadrunner Krillin is so good. I love Roadrunner.
I have a lot to say about that, and I can say I do not like this version of Krillin. Have you ever seen the Puppet Master films?
Sure.
This Krillin is something that would be in the Puppet Master films, one of the bad Puppet Master films.
So most of the Puppet Master films.
There goes our sponsorship with Puppet Master Origins 4. But he looks hydrocephalic in this whole episode. His forehead's too big, and he pulls the weirdest faces. I do not like this little boy. He disturbs me.
The first time we see him, he's blue.
I was going to ask, why is he blue?
Why is he blue?
Because they're in the desert. But I know I think they're trying to do shadow, but the colors are botched.
Well, the first time we see him, he's in the forest, right? Because they've just crashed into the forest. Yes. He's running through the forest, and you get like these like forced images of like Smurf Krellin as he like smashes different. Also, no neck. I love,
Yeah.
you know,
Krillin has no neck.
he does not get a neck until the like 23rd Budokai Tenkaichi.
You gotta wait for more budget for Krillin gets a neck.
Yeah.
I love like with when they're in like they're in their different biomes as they're traveling, and you're getting more of the romantic Yamcha and Bulma stuff, but then you have Krillin is basically haunting them. I think we like everywhere they go, he shows up.
Krillin is like, yeah, he's stalking them, and it really throws into question the geography. Also, what I like is Yamcha crashed the plane, but he says, oh, those planes have issues. No, Yamcha, you flew it into a tree. That's not an issue with the plane. He very clearly flies it straight into a tree.
It kind of makes you wonder what was going on that made him fly it straight into a tree.
Maybe Pa was flying and the 20 minutes are up, so his legs shrunk again.
He's clearly the better driver. Yeah, and for those keeping score at home, this is like the 4th vehicle they've lost at least. No, it's closer to 5 or 6.
I think it might be 6 actually when you count Bulma's motorcycles.
Yeah,
JoJo numbers.
We go through vehicles just whenever Toriyama's like, I want to draw this instead. Though this doesn't really happen so much in the manga. You don't really get this interlude. It's a way to kind of pad out the episode.
This is a weird thing because, fun fact, they're not going to be seen for now for quite a while.
Yeah.
So much like the filler we had in Arc 1 where Pilaf was sunk and then we didn't see him for ages and young me presumed he was dead, we have the same thing here where the last thing we see of Yamcha for ages is him, Bulma and Oolong, lost in the desert with no water and then just gone. So again, young me presumed they had died.
I do want to point, like, I want to talk really briefly about Goku's little ride on the Nimbus back home and away from his home, because I think that the backgrounds that they did with like that scene of Goku's little house with the mountains is gorgeous. I want that as a wall scroll for how gorgeous and watercolor it looks. Like that whole thing in the mountains is just, it's beautiful. It's genuinely beautiful.
It's definitely one of those moments where you feel the animators were certainly flexing what they could do a little bit with it, because it goes above and beyond what is needed for that scene.
Yeah, it's good to finally like get out of the desert after doing like the past 3 or 4 episodes in castle and or desert. So it's like, okay, we can go back to like Mount Tao and everything, or Mount Pao, and I do, that's in the manga too, that he checks in on his home. He doesn't make a beeline straight for Roshi's Island in the Kame house. He does check in on his home, which is nice.
And I do like what it does for the feel of the episode. It kind of reinforces that hard break in sort of a feel kind of way. It does kind of push the idea that, yeah, these two groups are now separate for a while. Goku is going on to this new story. Like, we're not just writing him a new story, he's physically going to a new story. I think it really helps sort of cement that break. When we're talking about how this episode, in general, you saying introducing people to this episode, one thing I really notice is how it's basically episode 2 again. In structure, it's putting Goku and an older figure in a domestic situation where Goku will repeatedly misunderstand their way of life and what they want by messing it up. And I think it's a really good model because it really quickly establishes both a lot of Goku's character, but how he interacts with whatever the new adult figure is. So with Bulma, he's more bratty and being more playful with her. With Roshi, he's definitely trying to please more. I think it works really well as an introduction to both characters. Even the little bit we get with Krillin here acts as a really nice introduction to who he is in a couple of minutes of, here's kind of the bullet points for you.
And then, of course, Goku, being Goku, eats everything in Roshi's fridge. Like, within minutes of getting there, just eats him out of house and home. And I love that for him. I love that he ate the butter.
I want to know where Roshi gets his food from. Like,
Turtle gets it.
Well, Turtle's on vacation here.
Mm.
Oh, by the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, I do demand that you comment "Happy Vacation, Turtle," because he deserves it. He deserves it. We see why here, because Roshi is not the best roommate.
No, it's the Kame house has never kind of been like, it's been weird. Like, who lives at the Kame house at any given moment? Does Krellin or Blanche here live here, or like, yeah, it's
the alligator was in the lawn chair. Is he still here?
Yeah, sometimes we see like aircraft there, or sometimes he just rides his shell or turtle. Yeah, it's
inconsistent.
Yeah.
Where's Gamera living during all of this? And
yeah,
Gamera lives underneath the island.
Actually,
I
Gamera's probably in space saving young boys.
I do want to say I love the little moment with Goku and Roshi where Roshi's trying to be like, okay, which one of these is prettier? And Goku's like, I like them both. Like I love that for Goku because number one, gender blindness still exists in Goku,
Mhm.
and number two, he's just such an equal opportunity guy.
I like the idea that one Roshi's just like roping this kid in. Like, if Trenu, you've got to find me a date. You'd think that by this point Roshi would realize that Goku is thick as bricks and is probably not the best person.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Roshi has only interacted with Goku briefly, in returning Turtle and in learning the Kamehameha wave. So yeah, this starts what is going to be about, I think, approximately in universe about a year of them basically living together and learning martial arts. They're off to a beautiful friendship. And then Krellin completes this trifecta, which quickly grows into a four-person, one could argue five-person, given the split personality that is Launch. that we'll see very, very soon.
And if
There's
you don't
so
remember Launch, don't worry, because Toriyama forgot her
we
too.
all forgot launch.
I
Poor
know.
Launch.
Launch is my Yamcha. Prepare. Because I love
Oh,
Launch.
I love that we all have a Yamcha. I the comedy beats with Goku and the dates he keeps getting for Master Roshi, like we get that much larger bodybuilding woman, I'm assuming she was supposed to be, and then we get the mermaid, I think is fantastic. That is such a good setup of like, oh, she doesn't want to go on a walk because it wouldn't be fun. What about a swim? And Roshi's so excited, and then it's just, oh, you're a mermaid. I can work with this. Like,
I'm a turtle, you're a mermaid. Let's go study our species.
excellent pickup line.
Yeah, I love the visual. I love it when it's a kind of almost like punctuation when Roshi just doesn't say anything, doesn't facially react, just springs the double nosebleed.
This is our first nosebleed as well, I think.
No,
I think he does it when he sees Bulma when Bulma.
Oh, he does. Oh, that's a
yeah.
shame.
Like I think he almost gets knocked over by it too, like the pressure of the blood.
Yeah, yeah, the
See,
old faithful guys are going through.
what I like about this is that you can kind of understand where Goku got the mermaid from, because she was probably swimming around Kame House.
Yeah.
Where did the circus strong woman come from? Where did Goku find this person?
I mean, he's taking the. It also means if both women can ride the Nimbus Cloud, they're pure of heart.
100%. I
Yeah.
would not doubt the purity of either of those people. Krillin is not pure of heart because he has a bag full of dirty magazines. What I like is apparently the Nimbus Cloud has got this weird morality play going on where the dirty magazines is a no-no. But being a giant ape and crushing your grandfather, pure as anything.
To be fair, he didn't do it intentionally. I think there needs to be intention behind it. Because Krillin meant to have the dirty magazines, which, by the way, I do love the like the blink and you'll miss it joke when it's like it's all dirty, it's all girly magazines, and then you get like one dude magazine in there.
Oh, which is even funnier because all the magazines are labeled as H or Ho,
Yeah.
except the blue one with the picture of man on it, which is labeled Ho Mo.
And then yeah, Roshi.
Hey.
I
Yeah.
didn't actually notice the Mo part. I actually just noticed that one magazine was blue and the rest were
Really?
pink.
I'm not saying I went frame by frame. I was really curious if they changed the text or not, but I may have gone frame by frame.
I can say as somebody that has owned Dragon Ball on home video since it was on DVD, which was one of the first formats. And I mean, we talked about the VHS releases last week, but I had the first edition, I think I still do, first edition um Dragon Ball DVD set, and yeah, they didn't change that text. It's yeah, it's what it is. And of course you get the Roshi reaction. Yeah, Roshi's a riot in this episode. And this for me is when I think Dragon Ball, it really comes down to the tournament saga and training, and because so much of if that first saga, if Emperor Pilaf is Journey to the West, we're now like, okay, we're a martial arts story now. And it's like, awesome, cool. We're full on shonen anime. Bring it on.
Let's do it.
Tournament. Yeah.
Talking magazines, I do like there is a TV cut of this episode which changes all the magazines to badly draw clothes onto the women, like scribbled over them, and all the names are changed from H to dating, which implying it's just a magazine about dating, which I said there probably was in the 80s a magazine about dating. There was a magazine about everything before the internet. But I still like the idea it's just a magazine about the general concept of dating.
I want to know how a 12-year-old got all of these different magazines. And I also want to know what was Krillin's exit strategy if this wasn't the play for Roshi? Like, either someone told him that Roshi was like a huge pervert, or he was taking a swing and a guess.
That was my question. Do we ever find out why this was his lead-in? Because I don't recall it ever coming up again.
Like, that's an aggressive lead-in.
I feel like a couple things are at play. Roshi's reputation precedes him because, like, Yamcha's aware of Roshi to a certain degree in the Emperor Pilaf saga. We see some other people kind of recognize Roshi later on, mostly within martial arts circles. And Krillin comes from, he comes from that monk order that, used to beat the crap out of him when he was living with them. So they might have mentioned, like, hey, there's this, like, guy that wears a turtle shell on this remote island that is really great at martial arts and also really loves dirty magazines. And, Krillin.
And then to think Krillin went into a store with money and went, I would like to buy all of your dirty magazines. I think you might have misheard me. Not some dirty magazines, all of them.
Yeah.
And the shop assistant was like, well, you're 3 foot tall and still a child, but what the hell? This is a world where Emperor Pilaf can walk around totally fine, so maybe you're just short.
Yeah. I mean, it's never consistent. It could be a store run by like an anthropomorphic animal person. We don't know.
And for them, it's just an anatomy book for humans. Like,
yeah. I point out something that I had a revelation of when I was watching this is that you see Roshi getting changed into his amazing. So the whole scene where Roshi's getting ready for the date is hilarious because he puts on a zoot suit as was the style of the time. Puts on the weirdest 80s stock music I've ever heard. But then you see that he has multiple turtle shells and they're not like part of him. He just wears them.
Yeah.
Where is he getting them from? And how does Turtle feel about this?
Yeah, is Turtle the first turtle? We don't know.
Is this what happens when you resist him for too long?
There have been multiple turtles, and after a certain point, Roshi just gets fed up, and then they become turtle soup. He was actually the Shredder.
Yeah, tonight I will feast on turtle soup. Yeah, we don't. I assume maybe Turtle had a family. There's so many questions that we don't know. There are darker implications here. And we know he has a lot. We know he gets shells that are specifically sized for Goku, Krillin, and Yamcha years down the line. Yeah, there's
shells.
Yeah, a lot of shells.
Oh, no, this is why you don't see many turtles.
Yeah. The turtle hermit. I mean, does Master Crane have a supply of feathers? We don't know. There's a lot of questions.
Master Crane just has a bunch of like taxidermy cranes around just to like show the new ones like what it is when you step out of line. Like that's what it is. It's an intimidation tactic.
There's like a vegan one out there who's just mastered a nice coat. He just got a nice jacket, just a cardigan he wears.
I also love that Goku eats so much, and I don't know if this is the first time he's had to do it. The first time he eats so much he has to open up his pants.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
It's such a good little detail.
It's again the animator just putting in that little bit extra to sell these kind of things.
Not so much with this scene, but a lot of the later Goku eats scenes. They make me, every time I watch it, I could have just had dinner. And it's like, I could eat again. I could do this again.
The thing I love about like the comedy setup of Dragon Ball is like Goku always has someone to play off of who works so well with his energy. Like before we get Roshi, like Oolong was kind of his number 2 in that, with this very classic Japanese like slapstick comedy setup. And now we have Master Roshi, who has a whole different attitude, who I think he's slowly coming to learn how little Goku actually knows about like the world around him, and I think that that's very fun. Like he doesn't know what a refrigerator is. Like that's the thing that I thought was very interesting to point out.
And he's clearly forgotten that as well because Bulma showed him one. So
yeah, it was in the capsule house.
Keep in mind this has only been like what, a month now since that happened. So I say Goku's memory is not the best. We know why this child is walking around with massive head trauma.
Oh, Goku.
That when you remember that as a plot point later, it does put a lot of early Dragon Ball into sort of stark contrast. You go like, why can Goku not tell two people apart? Oh, head trauma. Why is he eating so much? Oh, the head trauma.
Yeah, from infancy. Yeah. But the little guy just keeps on ticking. What he accomplishes is just impressive.
Though we should say the official line of CBR is that if you do have massive head trauma, don't go learn martial arts, go to a hospital.
Yes. Use your local emergency services.
If a man in a turtle shell comes to teach you martial arts, say no, find a doctor.
If you are in the US, we understand ambulances are expensive, however.
But turtle habits are not trained physicians, as we'll quickly learn.
Well, what's interesting about this, we don't quite know it yet. I guess we were meant to assume it is that, Goku hasn't trained under Roshi yet. At this point, Roshi is clearly stronger.
Yeah.
Roshi is clearly stronger than Goku. We can debate moving forward if that remains the case as tournaments, put this directly into question. But at this point, I think it's safe to say that Roshi is significantly stronger than Goku.
And
yeah,
Goku
he definitely is.
Yeah.
Goku even says, I have to do it if I'm going to. I do want to point out something really quick that I noticed in the last episode is that a big chunk of Goku's arc forever is becoming stronger, is always becoming like stronger than the last guy. Goku himself was his first guy that he saw that he needed to top because he was like, if somebody can come and bust up a castle like that and I can't punch it, then I need to become stronger than him. These moments set Goku on the path to putting the universe in danger in Dragon Ball Super. These two episodes are the seeds of Goku's thrill addiction, and I think that is such a thing to underscore here. That's such a major character piece of him that only exists because of that.
Yeah, no, it one of the most fascinating things about Dragon Ball for me is always because it's been going on so long, you get these weird moments where you realize, like, here's something that's now like the most iconic Dragon Ball thing in the world. Yeah, it won't come along until episode 300. Like, Super Saiyan is like the thing everyone mentions. Yeah, we're years and years away from Super Saiyan being a thing.
We are, yeah. We're years away from non-Kamehameha wave energy blast being a thing.
Oh yeah, like at the moment we don't have space in Dragon Ball. Like there's no concept of ending on other planets. The sort of our level of weirdness is Roshi is the weirdest thing in the world, and then you get to Super and you've got the blooming coolers and the heaters and you go, oh, this definitely escalated at some point.
So it escalates not that quickly, which is very fun.
Which, again, is going back to the old posters of it. It's always my favorite thing when you see the people who were like me as a kid watching Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z at the same time because they were both being shown, and how that led to some of the weirdest like jumps. Where you would get like a Dragon Ball episode end with something like this, where it's like, oh, will Goku be able to train under Roshi? The next Dragon Ball Z episode, Cell is absorbing people, and we're doing an alien pastiche. And you're like, oh, how do we get from point A to point B here?
Yeah. And time travel and everything. It's Alien by way of Terminator. It's weird.
Suddenly, my kung fu film has become a totally different genre.
Well, yeah, and for me, the thing about the defining switch from Dragon Ball to Z is that Z is hard science fiction at that point. It's like, oh, okay.
Like right from the start, the second Raditz lands.
Yeah, aliens. Oh, okay.
Dragon Ball always had like a little sci-fi to it. Like, the capsules were always a little sci-fi, and then you do get like the precursors of the androids with Ader and like the stuff that happens with Red Ribbon. Like there was always like a little thread of sci-fi, and it's when Raditz lands on the planet that it just firmly goes like, no more of this fantasy crap. Now it's time.
Right. It's a little more fantasy. I mean, yes, there are absolutely sci-fi tropes throughout Dragon Ball right from the beginning, but it's more heavily informed by fantasy. Like Piccolo, as far as he knows and as far as we know when he's introduced, is the Demon King. We don't know he's an alien until like episode 20.
You don't know he's a slug man.
It's kind of sci-fi via Doraemon. effectively, in that same kind of way where Doraemon is a sitcom where we have all this weird technology, but it only really exists to get us to a joke or get us to a plot thing. Like, we never question where Doraemon's magic genie teleporting lamp comes from. It's just there to set up trapping the mom on the moon so we can go get her again.
Yeah.
And then with Dragon Ball Z, it becomes, oh, this sci-fi stuff's actually the story now. Like, you have to follow this. This is our main thread now. It's so weird to sit there and think about that. Yeah.
It is. It's weird to think about where this is gonna go, but we're coming up close on the end of our time, so I think, my dear friends and colleagues, it's time for some final thoughts. What do we think about Goku? What do we think about Goku and Krillin first meeting? What do we think about the start of their training journey?
I'm still a little weirded out by Krillin. He's a bit too gremlin-y for my tastes. I forgot this. I will admit I'm a little bit melancholy about this because I really enjoyed those first 13 episodes and the tone they had, and I'm a little bit sad we're not getting that there now. I know where we're going is good, but I just really like those first 13 and what they were doing. I think part of it is because there is nothing that has that tone anymore. Like the last couple of seasons, couple of years, there hasn't really been that kind of adventure comedy going on as much. So I'm going to miss it. It's going to take me a couple of episodes to really sort of embrace the new era we're in. But this, on its merits, was a really fun episode. Did a really good job of sort of, here's the characters again. Here's what you need to know. Here's what we're doing. It's definitely a starting point.
And, you know, for me, and I like I was touching on earlier, I love it going martial arts. I love, and it's weird because, you know, you mentioned the kind of fantasy comedy on the road aspect of it, and not, you know, they tried to replicate it at the start of GT, and it just doesn't have the same magic, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball had changed so much at that point that it was hard to go back. What we're seeing now is it always feels like a fresh start jumping into episode 14 because it's meant to be it's a continuation and a jumping on point all at once, and I love it.
I love this episode because I do think that this is where the comedy is the tightest. This is a very tight comedy episode. I think it does a really good job of getting those beats across. And yeah, like you guys said, it is a new beginning for a new chapter of Dragon Ball, which is why you need to make sure that you're following along with us on Crunchyroll and Hulu, reading along in the Viz Media translation, and joining us again next week for another exciting episode of Dragon Ball. Once again, we have been your hosts for DBR on CBR. My name is Alyx.
I'm Sam.
And I'm John.
And we will see you next time on Dragon Ball.